How's it going, everybody? Blake here from Blake's Builds. It's been a hot minute since we've done an update on Rocky, my twin turbo Silverado. There's some stuff that happened, and I've not been wanting to make a video about it, but I guess it's time we do something about the stuff. But first, my garage is an absolute wreck, and let's get it cleaned up. Okay, now that the garage is halfway cleaned up and I feel like I can at least walk around in here. So truck was running great for a couple weeks. I was fiddling with the tune. I never had it professionally tuned, nothing like that. I've just been playing with it. It's doing good. It's definitely down on power out of boost, so I know it needs to be tuned professionally because it ran a lot better, like I guess from a dig you would call it. The turbo's light almost instantly. It's amazing. But about 2 weeks after I got it running, I decided I was going to run to my hometown, see my friends and whatnot. Went great. On my way back, I was on one of our parkways, and I did a little bit of a pull, and when I let off, it defaulted to second gear. I'm like, well, that's not good. With 480Es, that is when something happens, that's usually its default, second gear. If it's in drive, it's going to go to second. It's just how it is. I don't know what the reasoning is behind it. That's how GM did it. But so I was like, crap. I drove it about a mile, and I pulled over in a little parking lot. And of course, I had my tools with me. I had extra fluids, everything, and immediately I was like, crap, what broke? So hop out. I pulled the transmission dipstick, and there is no fluid on it. And I'm like, oh crap, this really isn't good. When I swapped everything out on the truck, I did lose a little bit of fluid, but not much at all. And I put 2 quarts back in it before I started going, and I checked it, and it was good. So I'm like, uh-oh, not on the dipstick. So I put my 2 quarts in it, and nothing. Like, oh crap, this isn't good. The transmission has been, I don't know when it started losing fluid. I don't know where it's losing fluid. I don't know what's going on. And, I've been really hard on it. So I was scared that I've hurt it. And so I put the 2 quarts in it. Nothing changes. I'm defaulted to second. Granted, I can drive it fairly reasonably in second gear, 50, 55 miles an hour, and it's not too wrapped up, not a big deal. So I drive it on to O'Reilly Auto Parts, and I buy 2 quarts of transmission fluid again, and I put it in, and it's back on the dipstick. So I'd lost a gallon of fluid. So I'm like, this isn't good. I've messed something up. So I know for a fact that the fluid levels were correct after I got everything back together and started driving it. So I've got a leak somewhere. Whatever, I get it home, I look up, get underneath the truck, get it all jacked up, and the back of my pan is leaking, the gasket. And I'm like, okay, well, I've lost a gallon of fluid through this. I didn't recheck it once I got home just because I didn't think to. But like, okay, well, It needs a new pan gasket. I mean, it was soaked. It was losing fluid, but yeah. I put a new pan gasket on it, fix everything, make sure the fluid's all topped up, go to drive it, still defaults to second. Crap. I've really hurt this transmission. I thought, it's like I've burnt the clutches out of it. So now I'm thinking, well, maybe when it got low on fluid, the fluid was really dirty, so a little bit of debris in the pan. Nothing crazy, but there's some debris. I was like, well, maybe there's some debris in the solenoids, everything. I put all new solenoids in it, the little check valve things, like the electronic pieces. I put all new electronic pieces in it, minus the wiring harness. Put that in there, go drive it, nothing. It's still second gear. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I make the decision. I'm gonna pull the transmission. I'm gonna rebuild it. I've also tried to source another 4L80E just so I can swap them and just be done with it. Didn't really have any luck. Everybody thinks they're made of gold. So I make the decision. I set the date. I go to my grandfather's shop. He has a lift. I pull the truck on and I'm like, I'm gonna check the plug. Because somebody told me, well, if you get fluid into the plug on the side of the transmission, that will cause issues. Sure enough, I check it. There's fluid in the plug. Well, there's my culprit. It's like, okay, I've done damage to the transmission. There's stuff in it. I'm gonna go ahead and just replace the wiring harness inside the transmission. See if that fixes it. I do. New pan, gasket, all that. I've pretty much flushed the fluid twice now. It doesn't look bad. There's not much material in it. I get it going, and that fixes it. But my pump's whining now. So the transmission is definitely hurt. It's still pulling great, but I can hear the transmission pump whining. Fast forward, I go to change the oil in the truck, just to service it and all that. I have metal in my oil. Best I can tell, I don't have any rod knocks, nothing like that. I still got decent oil pressure, hot idles at like 25 PSI. Of course, the engine's never had really good oil pressure, like 50, hot or 40 hot or whatever they want to say it is. But under RPM, it shoots right up to where it's supposed to be. So what I can best tell is maybe the clearance is too tight on the torque converter to the flywheel or flex plate. And maybe it ballooned, the circle D converter ballooned out and took out the thrust bearing and damaged the pump. While I was trying to fix it in second gear, or I don't really know what's going on. The truck's still running and driving. It still runs really good. I got a few oil leaks, but I need to pull everything off and fix that. But other than that, it's running good. I still would like to have it tuned, but I'm going to have to do something with the engine because it's going to let go. I need to do something with the trans. It's hurt. It's still going good, but if I go to turn it up, it's probably not going to survive. So Friday night, I made a trip out of town. I picked up 2 5.3s. One of them is a Gen 3.5 with good internals, like the 3.5, or it's got the Gen 4 rods, but it's 24X reluctor, all that. I bought it. So these came from a mechanic. They were cores. Got it one heck of a deal. I paid $350 for both of them. I think I got one heck of a deal. The Gen 3.5 motor, it's got VVT, or not VVT, DOD, Displacement on Demand. Well, one of his customers tried to do a cam swap and timing chain swap on his own, and he got it out somehow and bent every valve in the motor. So I'm pretty sure that they kissed it. It still turns over really well. They kissed the valves, bent them. It needs new valves put in it. But the rotating assembly, as far as I know, is good to go, which is, I'm excited about that. The second motor, it had a bad injector and his customer went to start at the gas station, and it hydrolocked one of the cylinders and bent the rod there. So the hydrolock motor has good heads on it, good valves, everything. The Gen 3.5 motor just has the Gen 3.5 motor just has bad heads but a good bottom end. So I think I'm going to take both those motors and make one good motor and probably buy some new valves and maybe a new rod to make another. So I'll have two running motors eventually, two good motors eventually, if everything works out. One will be gapped. I'll go ahead and gap the rings for boost on the one that I'm going to put in my truck. I should be able to make more power safely. I'm going to upgrade some of the stuff internally just to kind of make it better than the motor that's in Rocky right now, because we've done some work to it, but it's not really built for a boost. It needs, I want to gap the rings to 30 thousandths and stuff like that. But I should be able to get two good motors out of this, and I'm excited. But it's one of those things that I'm also taking a gamble. But I still need I would like to also source another 4L80E two-wheel drive that I can, have these ready to go in the truck, so I'm not having the truck tour apart for 2 months while I try to rebuild everything. I hate doing that. I'll just go drive my truck when I want to. So if I could just turn it into a couple weekend project, that'd be great. The turbo kit's still doing really good, making great turbo noises. I love it. It's a fun truck. It absolutely loves second gear burnouts. I mean, just like blisters the tires off of it. It's great. Yeah, but some people were asking for an update on what's going on with the truck, and this kind of is a little long, and I might have rambled on, but I think it just kind of gives a rough idea of what my plans are here for the near future. One issue we might run into is we are selling our home, my wife and I. So I don't really know how that's going to affect. We have another property with a barn on it, but it's not set up to work on cars. It's going to be for storage only, but we have plans to build a garage. But I don't know how long that's going to take. And that's another reason why I'd like to have just a motor and a trans setting there so I can swap them, without, I won't have a space to keep it tore apart for months. But anyways, I'd like to thank y'all for stopping in and watching, listening, hating me. I don't know. But yeah, y'all have a great weekend, great summer, great life. And I'll see you next time.